Right, well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the webinar, and many thanks for joining us. My name is Paul Dell. I'm a partner here at Raffingers, and I head up our Raffingers Wealth Management joint venture with Tavistock Private Client. We deal with all areas of financial planning and wealth management, and I'm joined today by Lawrence Daly, one of our wealth management consultants, and also Mike Lodge, who heads up Tavistock's employee benefits packaging. Mike's going to take us through the employment benefits offering and why this is becoming more and more important for staff retention. Before we start, a few housekeeping points. If you've got any questions, just put them into the Q&A box and we will do our best to answer them at the end of the presentation. So without further ado, Mike, over to you.
Lovely, thanks ever so much, Paul. Can I just check before we sort of start off, everyone you can see the presentation? Is that up there, Paul?
Yeah, I can see it. It's all good.
Excellent, thanks, Lawrence. Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and thanks ever so much for joining us this afternoon. We have, let me just make sure we can scroll on. So we have a very sort of brief agenda for today. As Paul's already given the introduction, it's talking all things employee benefits. So just quickly run through the agenda. So a very quick introduction into who Tavistock are for those who don't know us and have not heard of us before. Then we're going to kind of get into the bulk of the actual presentation itself, which is looking at the importance of employee benefits and the role that they play. Then we're going to spend a little bit of time just going over kind of high level on some of the possible options that you have with regards to employee benefits. Then I want to spend a little bit of time talking about one particular aspect, which is salary sacrifice. To give you a little bit of an idea on how it works and the benefits to you as a company for using it. Then a very brief summary at the end, and then, as Paul's just said, time for some questions at the end. So yeah, if you do have questions as they come up throughout, please just pop them in the Q&A and we'll do our best to answer them at the end. Okay, so without further ado, so a quick introduction into who Tavistock are. So Tavistock Investments PLC are an AIM-listed firm of independent financial advisors, and as Paul said, I head up the employee benefits team from our office in Cambridge. And our sole purpose is to help our corporate clients implement and manage their employee benefit strategies. For me, the second point is probably the most important in the fact that we're completely independent. So we're not tied to any single provider or any panel of providers. And the employee benefit strapline, I suppose you could call it, is delivering the tools to help you attract, engage, and retain your most valuable asset, i.e. your employees. And that's obviously what I want to talk to you about this afternoon. My contact details are there on the slide. This will be shared around with you. So as I say, if you do have any questions this afternoon or indeed at a later date, by all means, please either drop us an email or feel free to give me a call. Okay, so that's the quick intro done. So then first we're going to have a look at the importance of employee benefits. And this was a headline that I saw in the Financial Times last week and thought it was incredibly timely. According to the Office of National Statistics, the UK unemployment rate now sits at just 3.6%, which is actually the lowest rate it's been since 1974. So if you couple that with the fact that job vacancies are now currently at an all-time high, we are now very heavily in a very heavily candidate-driven market. From a job seeker's perspective, there's now far less competition than there's ever been before, and more jobs looking to be filled. If you look at it from your point, from an employer's perspective, it's effectively the perfect storm. You have the reverse is true. You've got the greatest amount of competition from other firms and a smaller talent pool to search from. So therefore stands to reason that with so many jobs available and so few unemployed candidates, that effectively your competitors are likely to be looking to your own employees to fill the role. And that's why now the attraction and retention piece of employees is vitally important. Now that's just a couple of statistics that I've seen this week. We've also got some others that have come through, because there's an awful lot of research done into this sort of this side of the market. Now, I'm certainly not naive enough to sit here and say that the most important factor for all employees when looking for their next role is the range of benefits on offer and whether their company provides them with fresh fruit on a Monday or a pool table in the breakout room. And as I say, a great deal of research has been done on this at the moment, and some of the statistics may well be as surprising to you as they were to me. So I thought I'd share some of them with you today. So we've got 66% of employees in the UK believe that the benefits are equal to, are more important than their basic salary. Now, I've been in the employee benefits market for over 25 years now. And even that has surprised me, that actually the thought of benefits and the power that the benefits that their employer gives them are actually now becoming more important than the basic salary they're offered. That's kind of backed up by a piece of research that Glassdoor did, which actually says that 80% of employees would choose additional benefits over a pay rise. A couple of other little statistics there. So yeah, 49% of employees, so that's nearly half of employees, could potentially start looking for a new job within 12 months if they're dissatisfied with the benefits on offer. One for a little bit later on, when we start talking about the flexible benefit side of things, 40% of employees said that a company becomes more attractive if the benefits package are tailored to them. And another one for a little bit later on, when we start talking about the financial education side of things, is that 90% of employees want to talk to somebody about money. Certainly don't think that that's ever more true than it is today with the cost of living crisis that we're going through at the moment. So it's certainly something that's very heavily on an employee's mind. The last statistic that I've got on here was actually quite a surprise to me. So 400% apparently is the percentage of an employee's annual salary it would cost to replace a high-level employee who leaves. I mean, if you think about it, the time it takes to replace, onboard, train a new employee, potentially looking at a higher salary that you have to offer them if you have to get them in a short space of time, not to mention recruitment fees for high earners. Anything that we can do to aid retention, it's got to be worthwhile at the moment. So that's to say, that's just a few sort of statistics which do highlight the importance of employee benefits. What I want to do now is, as I say, is just run through a high-level overview of some of the more typical benefits that are on offer, and certainly that we help our clients with. And obviously be very pleased to discuss them with you if the need should arise either now or at a later date. First one is probably the more common, which is group life, also known as death in service. We in the industry tend to use the term group life because it is simply a group of life insurance policies. Death in service, I think, has sometimes led people to believe it only covers them whilst they're physically working, which isn't the case. That's typically why we tend to use the term group life. This benefit pays a lump sum, which is typically tax-free, to an employee's beneficiaries upon their death whilst they're employed. The benefit is normally expressed as a multiple of salary, and we tend to see that typical range is about 2 to 4 times an employee's annual salary. Although saying that, we do look after schemes that are much higher. Some multiples we've seen are up to 8 times salary. And it's also possible to offer a fixed amount. So, I don't know, say, for example, £50,000 per employee or £100,000 per employee. It's also possible to tailor the scheme to suit your own workforce and offer different multiples or different fixed amounts for different categories of employee. As I say, some of the schemes we look after could have, I don't know, maybe 4 times salary for senior managers and 2 times salary for everybody else. And so it's very easy to tailor this type of scheme for yourselves. Because, and due to the nature of the group arrangement, it's very, very common that most, if not all, employees will actually be provided with their full benefit without the need to provide any medical evidence. So unlike individual life insurance, where you have to fill out a 30-page application form, where things like smoker status and pre-existing conditions can affect the premiums, that's not the case with the group life benefit. Because there are no questions asked and the benefit is provided immediately and without the need for medical underwriting, it's a much, much better way, and normally much more affordable way for people to be covered. Group life insurance isn't classed as a benefit in kind, so there's no P11D benefits, there's no tax liability for the employee, meaning it's actually a very, very cost-effective and highly appreciated benefit. Just as a very rough guide, recently set up a group life scheme for an entertainment company in London. Had 35 head office staff that we were covering. We covered them all for 4 times their annual salary. Total premium was just less than £4,000 a year. So less than £10 a month per employee. So very cost effective, highly appreciated benefit from an employee's perspective. Next one I want to look at is group income protection, also known as permanent health insurance or PHI. And this policy provides an income to the employee should they be unable to work due to accident or sickness. In reality, the income is actually paid to the employer, who then runs it through payroll as normal. Typical level of benefit that is covered under these types of plans ranges between about 50 to 75% of an employee's salary. The reason why it's not 100% is because there needs to be some incentive for the employee to return to work. So as I say, typically between 50 and 75% of salary would be covered. This can be paid until the employee either dies, returns to work, makes a recovery and returns to work, or retired. We're also finding a lot of plans now are being set up where the benefit is actually paid for a given length of time. That may be for, say, 5 years. The reason why we're seeing a lot of schemes written on this basis is because it represents a lower risk to the insurance company. Because they know there's a defined maximum benefit period. Because it represents less risk, the premiums are therefore lower as well. So as you can see, it's very easy, again, like with the group life, to tailor the plan to your needs. As with the group life, normally little or no medical evidence required from employees. And again, it's not a benefit in kind, meaning there's no cost to your employees. Okay. Next we have, which also comes sort of under the group risk heading, is group critical illness. Similar to the group life, it provides a lump sum benefit, which can either be a multiple of salary or a fixed lump sum. However, with a critical illness policy, the benefit is paid out should an employee be diagnosed with a defined illness or have a specific injury. As the name suggests, the illness does have to be fairly severe. Different providers will actually give you a different list of conditions and illnesses which are covered, and that's partly where we come in to make sure that you get the best plan. But it's typically things like cancer, stroke, heart disease. From an injury point of view, it's maybe an accident that causes loss of limb. The benefit can be spent as the employee sees fit. It's paid directly to them. And again, another common misconception of critical illness is that if a full recovery is made, does the employee need to repay the lump sum? Absolutely not. No, they don't. Again, because it's written on a group arrangement, very little or no medical evidence required. However, unlike group life or income protection, critical illness is actually classed as a benefit in kind. So it's just worth bearing in mind that employees do have a small tax liability based on the premiums paid by yourselves, by the employer. But again, still a very, very highly appreciated benefit from an employee's perspective. Okay, so now moving on to the more healthcare side of things, and the first one is private medical insurance. Now, this is a benefit that we've certainly seen employers have shown the most interest in post-pandemic, as they're seeking ways to improve their employees' mental and physical well-being. For those who don't know, medical insurance provides employees with access to private medical treatment and private hospitals, private surgeries, which allows them to bypass the ever-increasing NHS waiting list. Typically, with private medical insurance, people are treated in days and weeks rather than months. Not only is this going to help reduce staff absences because people are treated and obviously recovered and back to work much quicker, but it also shows that you as an employer care about their physical and mental well-being. A range of benefit options that we can implement and that can be tailored to make sure that you have the right plan put in place to meet your budget. It's even possible, depending on the size of the scheme and how many employees are covered, that some plans can be used and will cover pre-existing conditions. Again, medical insurance is a P11D benefit, so there will be a small tax liability on the premiums. However, in my experience, employees feel that the benefits far outweigh the tax cost involved, especially in today's post-pandemic world. As I say, given the very, very long NHS waiting lists that people are experiencing at the moment. So there we have private medical insurance. Next is a health cash plan, and health cash plans are relatively new in the employee benefits world, and they're often used to either complement a medical insurance plan, but they can also be used really, really effectively as a low-cost alternative. So we've seen a lot of clients that have wanted to potentially offer private medical insurance, but it's maybe been a little bit cost prohibitive. using a health cash plan is still a way to show your employees that you care about their physical and mental well-being. When medical insurance is used, it's typically designed for the larger, more one-off medical procedures. Health cash plans, on the other hand, provide cash back for the cost of your more typical routine health treatments, things that we've got up on the screen there, things like optical expenses. So if you have employees who wear glasses or contact lenses or have regular eye tests, they'd be able to claim back the cost of those treatments and those routine treatments through the health cash plan. Things like dental costs, routine and dental injury. So it doesn't matter whether it's NHS or private. You can still, the employees can claim back the cost of that treatment through the health cash plan. Physiotherapy, osteopathy, chiropody, the cost of prescriptions. As I say, we know that the cost of prescriptions is going up pretty much year on year. Those costs can be claimed back through the health cash plan. And also the cost for annual health screenings or health tests. Now, unlike a medical insurance policy, there's no need to consult a GP first. So because these are things that people have done on a regular, ongoing basis, they can go, get the treatment, and then claim the money back through the health cash plan. And typically, pre-existing conditions are covered as well. So even if somebody's had dental issues in the past, they can go and be treated by their dentist and claim back the cost of that treatment. We've said there that there's a relatively inexpensive but tangible benefit. The premiums for a health cash plan can be as little as £1 per employee per week. So if we think about it, yes, it is a benefit in kind, so there is a tax cost on those premiums. But for £1 per employee per week, even a 40% taxpayer would only see a cost of about £20 a year. That's less than the cost of a dental checkup through the NHS. So if somebody just goes to the dentist once a year, they're going to be able to claim back more than the tax cost. So as I say, it's a very, very highly appreciative and tangible benefit. It's one of the few insurance policies people know they're going to claim on. Most, we hope we don't have to. Okay, so that's the health cash plan. So I kind of said earlier that 40% of employees would look for far more favourably on an employer that offers them choice and offers them selection of the benefits. That's what flexible benefits brings to the table and brings to an employer. As I've said there, we're living in a world of a 4G workforce, so we've got 4 generations working in the workplace at the same time, from baby boomers through to Gen Zs, whatever Gen Z is nowadays. I think it's anyone who was born after 2000. By providing employees with a flexible benefit scheme, you're providing them with the options and the benefits that are right for them at the right time of life. Now, not trying to be too stereotypical here, but a baby boomer may well be more interested in their pensions or medical insurance, where Generation Z employee might be more interested in gym membership or high street discounts or annual leave trading. Now, an online benefit platform simply just provides employees with that range of benefits that they can choose at the right time of their life. I put a range of the benefits that are there, but it's pretty much endless. We've got on there some of the more traditional ones that we've already mentioned, but you've got things like gym membership, cycle to work schemes. It's possible to run annual leave trading through the flexible benefits platform. So again, it's just something to think about if you have multiple generations working within the workforce, that you can actually allow them to choose their benefits at the right time of their life. Some of these benefits are even available for them to select for their family. So things like life insurance, income protection, or medical insurance as well. So it's not just for the employees, it's for their whole family. Okay, next moving on to financial education. Remember the statistic I shared earlier, which states that 90% of your employees want to talk to somebody about their money. As I say, that research was done earlier on in the year, well before the onset of the cost of living crisis we're facing today. There's just a couple of other statistics from the same report showing how much of an impact financial stress and pressure can have on our everyday working lives. 55% of employees say that being under financial pressure affects their ability to work, and 8% admitted to taking time off work due to financial stress. As I say, this was a piece of research that was done earlier in the year. I'd be very interested to know what those figures were now. But by giving your employees somebody to talk to, we don't just do group presentations, we can do group, and we can also do one-to-one sessions as well. You're clearly showing an interest in your employees' financial well-being, and we have a whole range of topics that deal with that multi-generational workforce. As I say, you may have an aging workforce that want to talk to somebody about their retirement options. You may have some Gen Z employees that are looking more towards money and debt management, or some Generation Y that need mortgage advice. Again, these are all areas that we can cover either on a group or on a one-to-one basis. Okay, and the final thing I wanted to talk to you about was salary sacrifice. And one of the reasons why I wanted to do it is because, in my opinion, this is probably one of the most unutilized planning opportunities which can help save your employees and yourselves as the company money on national insurance. For those who've not used it before, it is purely a different way, or changing the way that your employees' pension contributions are deducted from their pay. And what I wanted to do was give you a bit of an example just to show you how it works and how effective it can be. So the example I've got here is an employee with average UK salary now of around £30,000 a year, who's contributing 5% of their salary to the pension scheme, which is very, very typical. With the onset of auto enrolment back in 2012, we see most employees now paying at least 5% of their salary into the pension scheme. So the net pay method is what I refer to as the kind of old-fashioned, the traditional method of paying money into pension schemes, where the net contributions come from their net pay. So with this employee, the employee contribution of 5% is £125 a month. Well, because 20% tax relief comes from HMRC and is claimed by the pension company, the actual net cost and the net deduction for that employee is £100 a month. The employer contribution at 3% is an extra 75. So for this person, their monthly pension contribution in total is £200 a month. Now, if we look at the example on the right-hand side, this is how salary sacrifice works in the process. So the employee sacrifices or exchange, and salary sacrifice and salary exchange mean exactly the same thing. They sacrifice 5% of their salary, which is still £125. Now, they don't receive tax relief because they are no longer earning that £125. So it means they save tax at 20% rather than getting tax relief. So from a tax perspective, they're absolutely neutral. The big difference is in the saving in national insurance. Because that employee is no longer earning that £125, they're no longer paying national insurance on it. Now, I've put the national insurance rates up there as they are today. Employees' national insurance at 13.25%. With the emergency budget coming on Friday, I think that we're fairly certain that's going to be going back down to the old levels, but I've left them in at today's rates. So this employee now saves £16.56 per month in national insurance. So the net cost of that employee has now gone down to £83.44. The employer contribution now becomes 8%, but don't forget they're actually reduced the employee's salary by the £125. So it's also, from a contribution perspective, neutral for the employer as well. So the total contribution is still £200. Only in this example, it's now costing the employee slightly less. Now, for those that haven't skipped straight to the bottom, imagine you're a company employing 30 people just like this, all doing exactly the same thing. For each one of them, you're saving at the moment 15.05% in employers' national insurance too. So multiply the 16, or multiply the £18.81 by 12, and then multiply that by 30, and it gives you an annual saving in national insurance to you as the employer of just under £6,800 a year. And that's why I wanted to bring this to your attention, because as I say, I think it's one of the most underutilized pieces of planning, certainly with regards to pension contributions. Now, we've helped an awful lot of companies convert their pension schemes to a salary sacrifice basis, and it doesn't mean a change of pension provider. It's just a change in process within payroll. And for a lot of the clients, they've had decisions on what they do with the saving that they make. Some people keep it, but many have used it to enhance the benefits or introduce new benefits, such as a health cash plan or a group life scheme, without actually impacting on the budget for the company themselves. So again, a really useful and quite a powerful tool. Okay, so final slide. We've rifled through them today. just a little summary on how we can help. And as I say, more than happy to have a discussion with you. Either pop something in the Q&A, or to drop me an email, or give me a call if you need us. But how can we help effectively on kind of 3 fronts? The first is with new schemes. So if you don't offer some of the benefits that we've spoken about already, and you're interested in them and interested in looking at them, we can help get quotations. We can help source and implement any of the benefits that we've spoken about already. But not just that, we work with our clients on an ongoing basis, not just for setting up the benefits, but also the ongoing management, because we want to make sure that they're competitive, fit for purpose, not just for you as a company, but for your employees as well. If you already have some of the benefits that we've discussed, maybe it's a group life scheme or private medical insurance, and they've not been reviewed for some time, we will quite happily review the market for you to make sure they remain competitive. The one thing we've certainly found over the last few years is that the cost of these insurance policies has increased. However, it is possible to review the market and to compare potentially your existing provider against the rest of the market to maybe reduce your premium slightly. The one thing we haven't really mentioned, or I certainly haven't really mentioned, is company pension schemes. Used to be the be all and end all of a good employer. We used to see that if somebody offered you a pension contribution, they were seen as a good employer. But now, because of the auto enrolment rules, we know that everybody runs a pension scheme, where everybody has their own company pension scheme. If you're unhappy with your current provider, or if you just want to make sure that they are still suitable and still the right provider for your employees, we can benchmark them against alternative providers, and if necessary, we can project manage a switch to an alternative provider if you like. Again, if any of those are of any interest to you, please by all means get in touch. Okay, question time. If anybody has any questions, be more than happy to hear them, and I help answer them.
Thanks very much for that, Mike. Just going to check and see if there's anything after coming up. Doesn't look like anyone submitted any questions as of yet. But you have included all your contact details and everything in there. So if people do have any queries for you, yeah, they can always reach out to you and contact you then.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, Lawrence. Yeah, so my contact details are on the slide. So yeah, if anybody needs anything, please feel free to get in touch.
Brilliant. Well, that was really good, Mike. Thanks a million for that. Paul, I don't know, do you have anything else to add?
No, many thanks, Mike. I would just endorse the bit about salary sacrifice. And you also finding that even auto enrolment schemes now are not as they were first sort of envisaged to be, even with the big bulk schemes, and that there's even merit in reviewing those and possibly switching providers and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, auto enrolment was a bit of a shock to the market for an awful lot of people, Paul, and some people either just wanted to comply with the rules and maybe set a pension scheme up with some of the master trust providers. Unfortunately, we are now finding that they aren't necessarily providing everything they promised, or the service that people expected isn't necessarily being delivered. So yeah, we are tending to find that a lot of companies are looking at alternative options and seeing if there's something better out there for them and their employees.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Excellent. Okay, well, thanks everyone for joining us today. And as Mike said, you can contact him direct with any questions. I think you'll also undertake no obligation reviews as well, Mike.
Absolutely, Paul. Yeah, of course. Yeah. So if you want any of your benefits reviewed or benchmarked, then yeah, absolutely, that's something we do at our own cost. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Fantastic.
So yeah, talk to Mike or contact your relationship partner at Raffingers, and we'll be pleased to assist. But that's all for now, folks.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye.